uh, you don't need to show your hand, but how many of us have gotten our vaccines or really have important reasons or things they want to discuss about the vaccination? If you have a question about vaccination, you don't need to say if you've gotten your vaccine or not. But if something is like, you have something in mind that is making you not to be vaccinated, or you've been vaccinated anyway, but you don't believe some things about the vaccination, about COVID, just raise your hand. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Pastor just also highlighted something to me, which I feel is important to let you know. So basically, obviously, we are here to discuss about the minority groups' access to health in UK, and today's theme is obviously about COVID. So it's just like we're trying to, by me asking the question I asked, we're trying to get enough data and information, because obviously whatever it is in your mind that you have to ask about COVID, there are loads of people that have the same mindset. So you're basically not just speaking for yourself. Obviously you will learn something, we will all learn something, and then whatever inputs we bring on this table would obviously be fed back, and that would be taken into consideration into making policies about health in this country. And obviously that is to the benefit of all of us. So that's part of the reason why we are doing this exercise. Let's go back to the question about, if you have important questions. It might be restriction, it might just be something you want to learn about either the COVID infection itself or the COVID vaccination. And whatever important reasons you think people are not, or people will not access the vaccine, or why people would not take it as important. So if you have any questions about COVID or about the vaccine, please raise up your hand.
Yeah. Do we
By
need to
show of
ask now?
hands, please. Okay. So
Okay, we should speak now.
yes, please. Whoever has a spare mic. Do we have a
There's
spare
a mic here.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
good afternoon, everyone. I haven't taken my vaccine, not even one shot.
Okay.
And the first, I have a lot of misgivings, so I don't know. Maybe, of course, that's why you're here to clarify. So when COVID came out, then I was pregnant, and the advice then was that we don't know if it's safe for pregnant women and things like that. And then after a while, it's like it's safe, but they didn't tell us whether they actually carried out any clinical trials to find out whether the vaccine is safe for pregnant women or not, and they didn't let us know. The advice just changed that, it's now. And because, as pregnant women, we know that you are not advised to take drugs anyhow or to take any kind of medication, because you don't know the effect on you and the baby especially. So even most times, even when you have a cold, doctors will not even give you anything. They will say, okay, fine, go and sleep through it, go and sleep it off, take water, rest, and things like that, because they're really very careful. And so I just felt that the COVID vaccine is powerful enough to affect, so I didn't want to take it. So when I gave birth, also, I just okay, fine, that's it. That's my first misgiving for the COVID vaccine. Then the second one that I have personally, I feel that COVID has a 99% chance of survival if you're healthy, as if you are between the ages of 0 and let me say 55. So there's a very high chance that you're going to survive it and you're going to beat it. So if we have that kind of disease, why do I need to put chemicals in my body to overcome it? Why don't I give my immune system a chance to overcome it? Because, for example, I come from Nigeria, Africa, and we have seen a lot of diseases, and we give our body the chance to overcome it. Malaria, for example, is more deadly than COVID, as far as I'm concerned. But we give our body the chance to overcome it, and we don't go about packing ourselves with chemicals that we don't know the effect of it. So that's one. If it was something like Ebola, where we know that, okay, there's 95% chance of you dying once you catch it, then I can understand that. But a disease like COVID, I don't understand why we need to take vaccines. Why don't you give your body the chance to overcome it? Then the third one is that the third misgiving I have is that it's anecdotal. It's anecdote though. I've heard about people who have taken the vaccine and it affects their period. It's not just about, it's not, I've seen 1, 2, 3, and they say, okay, fine, their periods are delayed, they bleed for a while, and things like that, you know. And it's just only now that doctors are now trying to find out, oh, yes, it's true, people have reported it, and they want to find out whether vaccines actually affect your period or not. For me, anything that's going to affect my period, even if it's just for one day, I just consider it unsafe, especially for fertility. So those are my 3 misgivings that I have.
Okay.
Because I've not finished, of course.
Okay. Number one, I would like to say thank you for those questions. They are totally valid, and thank you for, coming from a place of personal experience. You did say about your pregnancy and your own personal misgivings, and not, sharing that information about you not taking the vaccines. And, it is your body. Ultimately, you deserve the right to, say yes or no to if you want the vaccine or not. And this program is mainly to just share information, and also, to provide us with knowledge to make the best possible decision that we can make about these things. Just to go over your questions again. So the number one question is about COVID vaccination during pregnancy and how safe it is. The number 2 one is about, yeah, okay. And the number 2 one is about the, you said if it's an infection that you would survive anyway, so why do you need to take a vaccine? And then the number 3 one is about a side effect with the period, okay? Obviously, like any medication in the world, even paracetamol, nothing is 100% safe. All advice we give as doctors, health professionals, basically is what we call a risk versus benefits decision. So basically, if we're saying let's do this, or if we're saying take paracetamol for that headache, obviously it's against the risk of the side effect of paracetamol. It's against the risk of if you might have side effects, or other things that paracetamol would do to you. And it's usually based on that premise that any decision is being made. It's because we think what you would gain from it is more than what it is likely to do to you. So you said about the COVID vaccine and pregnancy. Yes, we all have to remember that COVID-19 COVID-19 infection itself is a new infection. We've never had this before, so it is new. So at first, all of the decisions made are to be you have to come from saving the largest amount of people that you can. So everything was from a cautious level. And initially, during when vaccination started, obviously the advice wasn't to vaccinate pregnant women when it started. And then they saw a lot of pregnant women get ill with the infection, and then a lot, either miscarried or got admitted into hospital. And by then, vaccination was already going on amongst general population, and they've seen, and then we could get data about how effective it was and how, what side effects to expect. And that was when they now made the decision that, yes, this thing is safe during pregnancy. So we didn't put pregnant women at forefront. And then when they started with vaccinating pregnant women, they didn't get, any side effect outside of what is expected from the general population. So that was when the advice changed. about vaccinating pregnant women. And right now, that is the advice, for everyone. Pregnancy is not an exclusion to getting the COVID vaccine. Um, does that answer your number one question about, why we vaccinate pregnant women now? Do, does that clarify, or does anyone want further
Yeah, it clarifies it, but I'm just saying that I don't know if pregnant women were put through clinical trials for them to be able to say, okay, now it is safe for the pregnant women and for the baby. And I don't know, another misgiving I also have is that because it's a new vaccine, we don't really know the long-term effects. It's just like, okay, like you said, COVID is new, and the vaccine is also new. And usually for vaccines in the past, they usually take a long time before we now establish that, okay, this is safe. It is administered to a lot of people. The clinical trials is really long. So, for example, now there's a new malaria vaccine in the world. And I know that this new malaria vaccine is started in the 1950s for them to start developing the malaria vaccine. And it is only in 2020 or 2021 that the WHO is now bold enough to say, okay, now it is a malaria vaccine. You can see the number of years that it took for them to be able to say, okay, this is now safe. And now this is just new, so I don't know. We don't really know the long-term side effects. We might say, okay, it's fine now. I took it, nothing happened. But down the line, years down, what might happen? So for pregnant women, I don't know. They were not put through the clinical trials, and so we can say, okay, yes, it's safe because they recovered from COVID. But I guess yes, it's safe. But I just still have this misgiving that we don't know down the line what it's going to have done for you or your baby, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've added another question, which is about COVID vaccine production and the long-term side effects of it. Like I said, concerning your number one question, I've added that to my list, and I would answer that. Concerning your first question, so that is it about COVID vaccination in pregnancy. Right now, the advice is to get one because it does provide the best chance for pregnant women and their babies, because obviously an healthy mother would give a healthy baby. So that's the basis for the decision. And at the moment, even up till now, they've started giving COVID vaccine to pregnant women almost over a year now, and we've still not gotten much in terms of adverse effect in pregnant women. So it is suffice to say that we've got very good outcomes with that. The second question is about the survival rate of COVID. If you're going to get COVID and it would likely be a mild infection anyway, why get the vaccine? That's a very good question. But the thing I want to highlight is that you don't know if you would get mild symptoms. You don't know. Until you get COVID, you don't know what you would get. Okay? So it's not about 20-year-olds get mild. If you might be that 20-year-old that goes to ICU. Okay? And we do know that vaccine would help your chances. So a lot of things vaccines would do. It helps reduce the transmission rate. So obviously your chances of getting COVID reduces. It helps reduce the severity of the infection. So if you were that guy that was meant to go to ICU or get oxygen, you might be the guy that gets cold. And obviously, if, other worse outcome, it reduces it. And then there are a set of people who, we don't really speak about, but they are quite significant, and those are the guys that get long COVID. You all know how busy your lives in UK are, and how much or else, you from third generation wealth family, how much work how much energy you spend in a day to put food on your own table and for your kids. So people that then get COVID and COVID has cleared, but they have this very bad fatigue where they're not able to walk, they're not able to do anything. Imagine if you were that guy. You know how much that would take off you, not being able to, not having the energy to go to work. So, and it's also from evidence clearly seen that COVID vaccination does reduce the chance of having what's called long COVID, which is that phase where you've recovered, there is nothing we can find in your blood system, but you just don't have energy to do anything. And no one knows how long it lasts. I've had patients where it's lasted 6 months and we're still saying, oh yeah, go to the long COVID clinic, all you can do at that point is supportive. Okay? I'm sure if, before they had the COVID infection, they had a chance to get the COVID vaccine, they would have been happy about this. And then to go to your third question, which is about COVID vaccination and complications like affecting period. Yes, it's a new vaccine, and like I said, these decisions are made based on risk versus benefits. I've actually not heard that one before about COVID affecting periods, but we do know that it gives a lot of the varied, not a lot, varied side effect. People react to it different ways. I personally have had 3 course of vaccinations, and most times it's the pain it gives in my arm and nothing more, while other people have had more significant side effects to COVID vaccines. So obviously each individual experience is personal, and that's why we report it, and we are trying to compile a list of common side effects, and that's just like any drug. If you go and buy a paracetamol tablet, there is a paper, a leaflet that follows it, and if you read the side effects portion, you might not want to take paracetamol again. That's because they just have to write everything that every individual has reported, and right now we're about 8 billion individuals in the world, so you can imagine that list of things people have experienced would be so long because it's so individualized. But to say that we have not had anyone come with too many morbid complications where people had the vaccines and died, or where people had other than there's one of them that was created in the UK called the AstraZeneca, where people had blood clots. And if you looked at that number, it was so low. But even with that, they took it seriously and sort of just demoted that vaccine because of that. So most people, what I would say about the COVID vaccination complication is, obviously, if you've had your vaccine and you've had any, please report it. Report it to your GP, and all these things get fed back into the system. But I don't think most side effects are not sinister or dangerous or significant, and they are usually very time bound. So that's why these vaccinations are still being advised. And fourthly, which is also a very common question, is why, have they cut corners with making this vaccine? Have they, we used to vaccine being made over 10 years, 5 years, loads and loads of studies. But you have to remember, none of these other diseases shut down the world economy. So, you know how much money people threw at this thing for the development, for the different things they needed to do. If you throw this much money we threw at COVID in the last 2 years on any other disease, they would get the same process. So no corners has been cut. It's just that, when you affect the dollar and people's money, you're going to get a big fight. So the world simply has really fought COVID to fight against, all of the fact that we had to shut down economies to protect ourselves against COVID. So no corner was cut. It still went through the same 5 processes of, getting vaccines and medications out. But it was just a lot faster because, obviously, the whole world shut down to focus on it. And no other disease or infection has had that sort of attention before. Does that answer your 4 questions? Please, other people, I know a lot of people have things they want to say about COVID.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to talk. I don't actually have a question, but I would like to build a little bit on what you've said. Because I know at the beginning of the pandemic, I also had lots of reservations, and this is someone that is, I'm talking from the point of a health worker. What I can tell you, I don't know if you know how vaccines work, but basically what it is there's a weakened version or an inactivated version of whatever disease you're trying to create a vaccine for, which is introduced to your body. Your body then gets the opportunity to interact with this disease in its weakened form, and then you can build antibodies to these as opposed to having to build antibodies when it's, fully activated and you might not have the opportunity to overcome it. So what that does is your body is then prepared when it is faced or confronted with the activated or the full form of this disease, and it can respond faster and stronger and give you a better fighting chance. Now, why I would advocate for vaccine, or why health workers generally advocate for vaccine, is this. Even if you have a 99% chance of surviving as a fully healthy person without complications, there are other people around that don't have that kind of chance. And when you're vaccinated, you're not as infectious. Why? Your body gives you the opportunity to overcome this disease faster, which is why the isolation days keeps getting cut down, like to shorter and shorter days, because you're not as infectious. When COVID first started, I think for as long as 3 months, you see people still testing positive for COVID after they've been infected. Even if they're no longer symptomatic, they're no longer doing anything, they do a test and they're still positive. But now, as early as 6 days post-infection, you could get a negative test. What does that tell you? Your body is overcoming this disease faster. So most times when you advocate for disease, it's not always about you yourself, it's also about the vulnerable people around you. And I don't know about pregnancy research. Honestly, I haven't read much about it. What I can tell you, though, is pregnant women fall under the vulnerable group. Because once you're pregnant, your immune system is lowered. So taking a vaccine while pregnant actually boosts your chances of surviving the disease if it occurs or if it happens to you. Because most times, you never know how it's going to turn out for you. That's just the truth. Because sometimes even with a fully vaccinated person, we still have someone coming to the hospital and having to go into ICU. But I can tell you for a fact that the people in the ICU right now, at least right now where I'm talking, where I work, are those that are not vaccinated. There's no single vaccinated person that is in the ICU. And there are people as young as 30 that don't really have any significant, comorbidities. They don't have any other disease they're battling or whatever. But as I said, you never can tell. But most times with vaccinated people, your body has already been accustomed to this thing. It has been exposed to it before. It's not the first time it's confronting. It's just like when you first start driving, the first time when you're on the road, you make lots of mistakes. You can, hit something. But by the time you've been driving over and over and over again, you can even do it closing your eyes. You find that you're getting to destinations faster. You're not making as much mistakes. You can apply the same thing to your body getting vaccinated, because then it is familiar with this thing. It is able to better navigate and, fight the disease. Basically, I wanted to build on that because I know it can be really difficult sometimes for health workers to break it down. We take a lot of things for granted because we understand how it works, and I completely understand, the reservations and everything that comes with getting vaccinated. But yeah, I think I'm definitely pro-vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you for that addition. Thank you.
Okay, mine is a question. From the first announcement of the disease in November 2019, I've read a whole lot. I've followed thought leaders. I've seen one or two things online. And I've followed the development of all the debates. I have 3 questions, which I want clarity, because someone like me will not subject my body onto as in something that my natural instinct is telling me is not right. I'm sorry to the professionals, The first question is that should be May 2020. No, 2021. Food and Drug Administration, FDA US, we are summoned by a committee on COVID to submit their findings on the after effects of the vaccines. In particular, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. And they got an order that they will not release their findings until after 50 years. Is the first question I have. Why? As in, why wait until, as in 50 years? Number two, the creator of the mRNA technology that is used in the vaccine, Dr. Mahon. I used to follow him on Twitter. Twitter locked him out because he was crying week after week that it's not healthy for the people to roll this out massively without really considering the after effects. And according to him, he listed out 3 diseases, which are myocarditis, I hope I'm getting it right, and the pericarditis, alongside autoimmune disease. Why would the creator of a technology be silenced? And who is a Nobel winner? He has a lot of awards in medicine. That's number 2. Number 3, I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. There's always a money trail when things like this happen. A lot of money trail. People who I would not normally listen to, hope is not online, sorry. Is he online?
No, it's not online.
Okay, all right.
It's been minuted and documented. Like I said, it's your view,
Okay,
and
okay,
you know
okay.
you're representing a lot of people expressing
Okay.
your view. So,
Okay. People like Klaus, Schwab, I hope I'm getting his name correct, and the likes of Gates, the likes of Fauci. Since 2019, if I've read documents, I've read almost 1,000 pages on the money trail of this. And so, if you are to convince someone who God has given natural sense to reason, what point will you give me not to consider the money trail of this vaccine? That's my case.
I appreciate your views and your questions and the fact that you obviously have very detailed knowledge about what's going on with COVID, background in terms of the bringing up of vaccine and things. Some of I don't promise to have all of the answers. So some of your questions I might just tell you I don't have the answers to. Basically, I'm just sharing information based on the science of it and on the health, aspect of it. So yeah, your third questions I might not have any answer to about the money trail, and we don't look at that basically. So I don't know is the answer. But does COVID exist? Definitely does. Does it kill people? It has killed a lot of people. So we know that. And did we have anything that behaved like COVID before 2019? No. So there is something that came 2 years ago and is very, it's a very bad illness that could kill within, weeks. And nothing we've ever had behaved like this. So we don't, we don't need any other thing to believe that. So I won't be able to answer your last questions. Concerning your question about the complication and why those organizations said 50 years. Actually, don't know about that one, but I can tell you our complications of, anything we call medication is gotten. And I've mentioned it earlier on. It's by reporting. So you get any medication at all. Even the common medications we still have now are reportable. There is a system called the yellow card in the UK. You get anything at all. You get paracetamol and your leg goes numb, report it. They would look into it and see if that's, like I said, there are 8 billion individuals living in this world. They won't react to the same thing the same way. So anything at all, that one gets, you report it. And then that gets pulled into this is likely. And then if a certain number of people report the same thing from using, a particular thing, then you start to look at it as, is it a possible side effect? If you look at the number of people that have been vaccinated, I think each of the vaccines, the major ones, Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, a lot lower, but Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson have over 100 million people who've gotten them now. So, even if it's a 1%, a 1% chance would be about 1 million people, and we've not had any sinister or significant complication that has been reported by even 1% of the people, okay? Not even 0.1% of the people, because you would know about it. It's basically reporting. So it's not something where and you don't report to the drug company. We're not reporting to, you're basically reporting to your GP, who then fills a form and reports to the health organization. And then there's someone in the background that collates all this and then feeds us back and, tell the health professionals to tell, or we make a public health notification that this is a known complication of this. When I mentioned earlier about the blood clot side effect of AstraZeneca, this was not something that was found in the lab. This was something that was found after they started mass vaccination. But then when they saw that people with no previous risk factor for blood clots developed blood clots, and it was within 2 weeks to 3 weeks they found out already of rolling out the medication. So if there are significant complications, by now they would have been reported. No one is reporting to the company, and the company is blocking the information to come out. Everyone is reporting straight, back to their health clinicians, who report to the central body, who are outside of these organizations that made the vaccines. And either ways, the companies are protected from the complications anyway. Because if you look at, the policies with UK, US, everywhere, it's the government that would pay you for having a significant side effect from the vaccine, not the company. So the company don't have much to gain. And like I said, you're not reporting to the company anyway. You're reporting directly, to your own health professional, and that data is collected outside of the company. So if there is no significant vaccine complications reported at the moment, it's not because, it's being protected. It's because no one's reported anything. The common vaccination complications that people have reported, I have mentioned some of them, like the blood clot, like the pain, like people getting fever, fatigue after being vaccinated. Those are pretty common, but I'm not sure of much conditions that had led people to a full hospital admission or an ICU admission from vaccination. And then you had the question about why the maker was shut out of Twitter. It probably has to do with policies and things. I don't know. So like I said, I can only express this, look at this from the point of view of healthcare and health management, and and basically provide you with information that you would use to decide if you want, to get a vaccine or not, or if it is sensible to get one. We have to remember that it's the same science that have made a whole lot of other vaccines. if we've read about, history of polio, history of smallpox, history of TB, this at a time were as bad as COVID or even worse. And, come fast forward 2022, these are not even major diseases any longer through the power of science and, mass administration of vaccines. Hope that addresses, I know I've not answered all your questions, but that addresses some of them. And anyone else has
Praise
views?
the Lord. Just one question here.
No, yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want
I have seen noticed.
clarification. If you've not been vaccinated
Yes.
at all, and you have an infection of the COVID, and you recover from it, are you still likely to get it again, or you've built up antibodies to sort it out or something?
Yeah. Okay.
Because
So
all my siblings, they said, before I came, I was about to take it, and they said, sis, don't do that. There's something going on somewhere that they don't understand. So I came into the system, and everybody says take it. Some people say don't take it. So they've all had it before anyway.
Okay.
So they said now they're immune to it. I want to know if that's true or not.
Okay. So basically, from the evidences that we have, and you have to note that all the evidences we refer to is from the last 3 years. We still advise, despite the fact that even if you've had the COVID infection, to still get vaccinated. Like we've pointed out, it's not just for yourself, it's also for the people around you, number one. Number two, we've recorded people get a second infection of COVID. So yes, you're not protected, okay? So
is the people that have been vaccinated, isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, so
You're vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, you're still going to get infected. So why get vaccinated?
Yeah,
or
like,
why not get?
Okay. Like I said, the vaccination, some of the things it does is obviously it's all about odds. It reduces your odds of being infected. It reduces your odds of getting a severe infection in case you're infected. It reduces your recovery time even if you get infected. So all of those things are the things to look at. It's not just, if you would get infected or not. Even if you are infected, you would choose a mild infection over getting oxygenated in the ICU, isn't it? So those are the reasons why they say still get vaccinated. And obviously, at the end of the day, we are looking at this from a population point of view, isn't it? So we don't want, you to be infected and then give to
other people. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, someone want. Yeah, you have a question.
Hi, I just wanted to add, just to add as well to that point about if you've had it previously. So it's partly so we have the science, but also anecdotes, because people give anecdotes for against vaccines. So I'm here to also give anecdotes for it. I worked definitely. I took time off maternity. I worked throughout that first wave, and I'm back to work now. People who had it once. I myself have had it once, and it was very, very mild. What I know for people that have had it twice, the second time was much worse. And it's not for everybody, but for those that have it, sorry, Femi, those that had it a second time, for a lot of people, it was a very different experience. The thing with vaccination, the reason that this whole COVID vaccine, I feel it's so debated, the thing that everyone is chasing is that because it came out so quickly. But we have been giving vaccinations for a very long time. If you have children, the chances are that you have given them all the vaccinations that they are supposed to have. Those vaccinations do not guarantee completely that they will not get. No vaccine is 100%. Same as if you take painkillers, it's not guaranteed that will exactly get to the source of your pain. No drug is 100%. But the chance with all these things, the reason we do booster everything is it's reducing the chance. And science works by risk. It works by, okay, if we do this thing, same as with smoking, you can meet people that have smoked for 60 years. They smoked 20 a day for 60 years and they never got cancer, they never felt sick, they were just happy. And you have someone else that never smoked and they got lung cancer. It happens. But most times, when you talk about science, talk about statistics, overall, it will help. It will reduce how bad it is, or it will reduce the chance of it happening, And in this particular case as well, it protects someone else from going through it. I think if we think of someone you love, that maybe you didn't even know what health condition, you see this kind of thing, they don't know what kind of health condition that someone had, but because someone else didn't get vaccinated, they now expose them, and that person felt very sick, but the person that exposed them in the first place was completely fine. It's really just, as Christians, I feel like we're supposed to take these kind of things into consideration more than anyone else, because we're supposed to be our brothers' keepers. We're supposed to be looking after each other. So you cannot just say, well, I think I would be fine. I don't have health conditions, and so why should I? The person next to you, you don't know their health. You have no idea how long. There are people who've been staying at home for years trying to avoid this, and because you feel that you would be okay, you're exposing them. I think as Christians, we should be very mindful of how we process this information in consideration of other people.
Thank you for that contribution. Can you just please give on the word.
Yeah, mine is just a contribution to all that they've said. I want us to see COVID like any other disease condition that is deadly. Any disease can be deadly. Even malaria can be deadly. But I want us to know that COVID has come to stay, just like flu. I remember maybe 1998, 1997, when this flu came, and they would say, oh, back home in Nigeria, they would say, oh, they say it's chicken flu and all that. But now, today, everybody's having this flu vaccine, and they are doing well. Initially, nobody wanted to have it. But I want us to know that we are only building our immune system. They need to introduce something that will ginger your immune system to say, oh, there's an enemy in my body. We need to send soldiers there to fight it. That is the literally way we can put it as medical personnel. So when your body starts fighting against that particular disease or infection that comes into your body, you build your own immunity against it. So that is exactly what this vaccine is all about. People are very skeptical about getting it. Oh, it's going to kill them. Is this international way of reducing population? It is not. It is for you to keep yourself safe and to keep your people around you safe. You could be a carrier, and the person that you are moving around with is not vaccinated and is not covered. That person can come down with it and die. But you are a carrier, nothing will happen to you. But if you have been vaccinated and the people around you are vaccinated, even if you come in contact with it, it might not be that severe as to cause any harm to you or to people around you. So my advice is that after all, we have confidence in taking paracetamol. Like me, people have confidence in taking ibuprofen. I don't take ibuprofen because I react to it. It gives me epigastric pain, and it gives me blisters on my body. So I don't take ibuprofen. So if anybody is advocating, oh, you can take ibuprofen, if I know the side effect it has given me, I will not take it. But for this vaccine now, if you take it and you react to it, just like doctors say, report to your GP surgery, and then they will take it, they will note it and take it up from there. But it's not that you have not taken it because somebody said so, and then you are backing up on that. It's not going to help. We need to help ourselves. We need to help the population so that this thing doesn't go on and on like that.
Thank you for that contribution, Pastor Mrs.
Praise God. Sorry, it's just a quick question. Also, they've advised 12 to 15 to take this vaccination. And the point is that I've been receiving, almost every day, I receive text messages for my daughter too. I've tried to, of course she knows that I've had mine, I've even got the booster. But she said she doesn't want it. So how do I help her to convince her to, or is it necessary, or is it compulsory for her to take it?
Yeah, thank you for that question, and it is very valid, which is, on the whole adult scale is why we having this program as well. Just convincing, not basically convincing, giving enough information to everyone then, make their own decision, and which you're hoping would be to get vaccinated. At your daughter's age, obviously, like anywhere you meet resistance, you want to understand why. Why doesn't she want to be vaccinated? What are her thoughts about vaccination? And, why does she think this should exclude her? If we understand that, then we will be able to, address it basically, which is also why we organize things like this to sort of like provide all the information that are available at the moment, so you can make your own appraisals and see. So it's obviously for her, I would say, to understand her reasonings why she doesn't want to be vaccinated, and obviously, yes, and also encourage her, and obviously point out the good things vaccinations and science has done to the world. Anyone else has a question? Yeah, I think that is it. We can close the program now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.